Hello and welcome everyone to AFSA's Industry Icon podcast. Today we are joined by Marguerite Watanabe, President of Connections Insights. Thanks so much, Marguerite, for joining us today. We're so excited to have you.
Well, thank you very much for having me. This is a great time to be able to talk about the industry. Lots of things going on for sure.
For sure, definitely. Well, can you tell? I know a lot of people in the vehicle finance industry know who you are. You need no introduction. But in our wider membership, just in case we have our different types of creditors listing, which hopefully we do, can you tell us a little bit about how you ended up in the consumer credit industry?
Well, now it's been actually 35 years since I have, so it's a long time ago, but I'll try to think back that far. So I actually started off on the credit side by getting into the automotive side first. So I was living in Japan. I had been working at the university first in California, and then I moved to Japan and was teaching at a college and at different companies for 4 years. And I got an introduction to somebody at Nissan, and it was more of a fluke thing. I don't know anything about cars to this day, but I had learned to speak some Japanese. So I interviewed with somebody, and he said, I'd like to hire you to do product planning with us for the future. So that's how I did it. I worked for the company for several years in Japan and then in the US. And at one point, I got a call saying, would you please join the finance side? And I thought I had gotten someone upset because at the time, that was like the stepchild of the company. And I said, well, no, this is wonderful. Let me try to take a stab at this, because what I was told was that financing will play a greater role in the sale of cars. And that executive was very true. I moved over to the finance arm, and I've been there ever since.
You never look back. Who outside your family would you say you view as a main influence or mentor for your career?
Well, I would have to go with the first person I just mentioned who hired me into the industry. He took a real big chance on me, and I had no experience at all with vehicles or with financing. And he said, come, I'd like to teach you. What he taught me from the beginning was that, have a big appetite for learning, and I will help you with that learning. He would sit down with me and allow me to ask a lot of questions. He would, get my thoughts on different topics. And he said, I hired you for a reason. And so I really, really appreciated that and learned so much from him. And I still think about all the things that he taught me back then.
Was he the one who gave you your best career advice, or what would you say is the best career advice you've ever received?
I would say he was more overall just learning how to conduct business, but I did get some advice from another individual. He wasn't even my boss, but he came to me once and he said, Marguerite, know your value. Now, at the time, he was really talking about what value there was probably more related to salary and what I should be able to, get in the marketplace type of thing. But I took that a slightly different way. So I thought, what is my value to the company? And how can I contribute to not only the company and now more and more to the industry as a whole? And so value is, I have to be able to show what my superpower might be, for example, and how I can do something that's going to help another individual, whether it's my clients, my partners in the industry, just people coming up through the mentoring program that we have now, anything like that. The value is very, very important to understand how you can give back.
I'm so glad you mentioned the mentoring program that that AFSA's Women's Leadership Council has begun with the AFSA Women's Forum. It's been really exciting. It's in its nascent stage, but it's off. It's been kicked off. So exciting. So thank you for mentioning it. But I'm also glad that you mentioned your superpower. What is your superpower, Marguerite?
Well, I probably started very young. I would always put people together. I put two of my roommates in college together. They've been married for 37 years. It's kind of nice, but it's really connecting people and connecting ideas and thoughts and, maybe some business propositions that someone might want to get involved in. It's just really that I think ability to maybe know somebody might need to know something over here and know that person well enough to make that introduction. And so that's what I think I've been able to cultivate over the years, how to actually do that. In fact, it's important that even though I might have learned that over the beginning years, it is something that you really have to hone and refine. I had to learn every day of what it means to connect people. I can't go and claim that as a superpower. I have to learn how to do it and continue to improve on that, each year. So even though it's been 35 years in the auto industry and auto finance industry, I still to this day try to figure out how to do it even better.
What advice would you give to your 22-year-old self?
Well, that's an interesting one, right? It's been so long ago. My kids are even over 22, so let's see. But the kids, people younger than that even. Well, I would say probably, looking back at that time, you're so excited. You get into your new job and you're thinking, okay, how can I impress somebody? It's all very important. What I would have loved to have known is you're going to meet a lot of people, a lot of people. Some of those are going to be like my first, the person who influenced me with Nissan, and others are not going to be so good, right? So you try to take what you can from those who you really respect, and you learn, is it because they respected people? They were collaborative? Was it because they were authentic? What is it that you really liked about them? And then try to grab those and learn from those. You might learn from others what not to do. And that might be, somebody who has a bad temper, who's somebody who sets people off of each other. I had a boss like that where he would make the managers compete with one another. You have people who are overly, competitive, who just want to knock somebody out to get to the next level. You come across people that you like and you don't like. Learn from both sets of what you want to be like when you grow up. So that's what I would have said.
That's excellent, excellent advice. And looking now to the future, looking into your crystal ball, how do you predict the consumer credit industry will change just in the next 5 to 10 years? What do you see on the horizon?
Well, from the consumer credit, you got lots of, I would say, efficiencies that are built in with some of the digital transformation that's going on. And we've been doing that for years, though. We have lots of new names for that, and I think that will continue. If I focus a little bit further just on auto finance, I think that's where it gets really exciting. Now, some might say challenging, but I say exciting. And because that's we have so much going on all at the same time with the OEMs that are entering the marketplace from all across the world. Some that are EVs, some that are not. You got the vehicles themselves that are changing with the EVs, autonomous, connected, all of that's happening at the same time. You have consumers who are looking at how they might want to own or use cars and what types of cars those might be. And then you got the dealers who are also going through some changes, especially more around the world than they are here in the US. But all of these trends are converging, at this one time, and it's not something I've seen in my work life here, and it'll be interesting to see how that continues and how auto financing specifically will have to adapt to that. I think it's exciting.
It is exciting. Marguerite, thank you so much for your time. We really, really appreciate it. Everybody, thank you so much, Marguerite Watanabe.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Danielle.
Thank you so much for listening to AFSA's Industry Icon series. We appreciate you being here. Subscribe to AFSA's Extra Credit Podcast wherever you get your podcasts.